I'm here today with a former student of mine, Tao Nachuan, and he has recently been accepted to the Curtis Institute of Music. And this is an amazing accomplishment because Curtis, by many people, is considered the most prestigious, or at least one of the most prestigious conservatories in the whole world. So very, very few people are admitted to this school. And I'm really excited because one of my former students has been admitted, and I wanted to talk to him a little bit. And maybe you could start out by telling us some basic information about yourself, how old you are, how long you've been studying the piano, etc.
Yeah, so I'm 17 now, and I started. I was first introduced to piano since the age of 5, so it has been 12 years now. And
12
I'm
years.
currently studying with Professor John Owens, and I studied with Mr. Lee for 5 years.
Okay, Mr. Lee's me,
Yeah,
right? Okay, yeah, okay, that's right. And so you started studying from the age of 5. When did you really begin to feel an attraction to music where you thought this is something you wanted to be a really important part of your life?
I would say probably when I was 9. Yeah, when I studied with you for like 1 years,
Okay.
when
Okay.
I really connected to music. But even at that time, I wasn't really decided to use music as my career. Yeah,
Yeah, I can understand that. Yeah. Yeah. I know for myself, from a young age, studying piano is something that I always enjoyed doing. But at one point, music begins to affect you on a much more deeper emotional level. Maybe it's um, particular pieces that you played yourself or just heard. I don't know if you had any moment or any particular pieces you remember that suddenly you feel more deeply affected by
yes,
music, and that feeling uh, you crave it. I don't know if you could
yeah.
talk
There are
about that a
actually
little
many
bit.
pieces. I heard from my CDs at home. Um, One of them is Chopin's Piano Concerto Number One in E minor, and the other one is um, Chopin's Nocturne in C minor, Opus 48. And that piece actually I was used in my credits audition. And there's also Rachmaninoff's Piano Concerto Number Two, the middle movement specifically.
Hmm.
So I mean, these pieces I can really feel the emotion, but wasn't have the depth to really convey, and I wasn't have the technique either. So, but I can feel I was connected to emotionally. Yeah.
Great. And so, when was the first time you heard those pieces and they affected you in that way? About how old you were you?
Mm, 9 and 10.
Okay, so just at that
Yeah.
early age. And I don't know if you've ever seen the movie 32 Short Films about Glenn Gould. I'm sure
I
you know
have
Glenn
not.
Gould, the pianist, but in the film, there's one scene where, as a child, he's listening. I'm not sure, but I think he's listening to Tristan and
I
Isolde
know.
by Wagner. And you can tell from the scene that he's affected really deeply emotionally. And I think that in itself is a great sign of musical talent at a young age, being affected so deeply by music. And I think you have that, and that's really awesome. Um, about how old were you when you wanted to make this your career? Do you know about
Yeah.
how old you were?
Back when I was 12, after
Hmm.
I got admitted to the piano academy in Gulangyu Piano Academy.
Okay,
So that's when I decided that piano performance will be my career.
cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so you had all these decisions pretty early on. Um, so you've been studying with Professor Owings for about 4 years, 5 years,
4 years,
four
four and
years,
a half years.
4.5 years. Maybe you could talk a little bit about some of the things that you've learned from him that you feel are really vital, or some of the most important things that you've gained
Yeah.
from him.
One of the things I think is the different kind of touch. Because at first, he wasn't very satisfied with my touch. So he want every song I make to be as beautiful as possible. Because some of the song I make um, can be kind of harsh. So just he's really spent a lot of time showing me the different kind of touch and use the specific part of the finger to to touch the keyboard instead of just poking the key. And
Hmm.
also just introducing different style of music. Because, um, for example, like when I playing Chopin, I wouldn't have too much difference than like when I'm playing Rachmaninoff. Their forte is different, and their style is just completely different, even though they are both romantic. So yeah, the touch, the style, and the sound is some of the most important thing I learned from him. Yeah,
Great, yeah. And I remember you when you left me, you still had some tightness,
that's right.
and when you were playing, what were some of the things that he did to help you get looser and have a freer technique? Do you remember
Yeah,
any specifics?
yeah. He said my arm was pretty tight, and that will just make my the sound I made sound very tight, not beautiful at all. So just when I played a loud chord, use my whole body instead of just my finger. And yeah, also doing some exercises like playing the chord from softest to the loudest and just increase my dynamic range.
Okay, that's interesting, and I think that's helpful. Um, Probably a lot of people are interested in your practice schedule. How much do you practice a day? What do you practice? Maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah. Mm, well, my practice time, I think every day is different. It depends on my schedule. But on average, I would say 5 hours, including school day. And so I always practicing scales and arpeggios as part of my warm up. And then I will, when I learn a new pieces, I will just first get the technique I needed. Otherwise, I can't do anything with the music without the technique. And I will record myself playing using, I have a really high quality audio recording device. And I will go back and listen to my playing. And that will really help figure out a lot of things. That's not really what I wanted to do. Yeah,
Yeah, that's a really great idea. Recording yourself. I always encourage my students to record yourself and listen, because you hear so many things that you don't hear when you're playing yourself. It's amazing. So that's
exactly.
it's a really good practicing technique. Um, I'm interested in how much time you have spent practicing technical exercises such as Czerny. Has
Well, I
Professor
only
Owings?
practice journey now.
Sorry, say that again.
I don't practice journey these
Okay,
days.
so has your professor Professor Owings ever given you Czerny exercises to practice or no?
Never. At first, he
Never.
gave me Moskovsky etude,
Uh huh. Okay. Yep.
and then it's all Chopin's etude and some of Liszt, but
Good.
no journey.
No Czerny. That's very interesting because when I first went to China and began teaching there and going into some of the music stores and seeing shelves and shelves of Czerny exercises
I know.
and so many parents, even of students who are very young, they know a lot of the Czerny exercises by opus number. And I was really amazed at the importance they put on Czerny. Now, a lot of people have achieved a very good technique with Czerny, but I'd like to hear that you have practiced very little Czerny because it shows that you can achieve a really good technique other ways. You don't have to spend all your practice time playing a lot of boring exercises. So that's very interesting.
Yeah.
Um, I also was interested in your parents and how much pressure did they put on you to practice or to pursue this as a career? Maybe you could talk a little bit about that.
Well, mainly it's myself putting the pressure on me. But
Hmm.
mm, yeah, they send me to the practice room every day because I don't practice in my home. And yeah, I also have time to practice in school. And also, that's Professor Owens will have some kind of pressure, but I don't think that's a huge thing for me.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So you said you practice on average 5 hours a day. How do you balance that with your schoolwork? Are you full time in
Yes,
high
I'm
school
full
as
time.
well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm, so as I just mentioned, I do have sometimes actually a lot of time to practice in school because this school is have some music program and actually a really good piano for me to practice. So mm, I rarely do any schoolwork at home. So like sometimes I will have 2 hours to practice in school, and then more times like 3 hours to practice at night. But not really a lot of homework. They think no.
That's a good situation to be in. Yeah. Not too much homework. Um, so so applying to Curtis, did you early on have a goal of going to Curtis or
Yes,
yeah. Okay. And so how did you prepare for that? What are the pieces you played? What was the process? Maybe you could discuss that a little bit.
I first started preparing the pieces for Curtis back in 2020 because I actually originally planned to apply in fall 2020, but they canceled the application because there's no space for piano because of the COVID.
Okay.
There's no graduation student. But
Oh.
yeah, I first started learning those pieces in 2020, and it's Bach's Chromatic Fantasy and Fugue in D
Hmm.
minor, and Chopin's Nocturne in B major, Opus 62, and the Scherzo number 3 in C sharp minor, and Beethoven's Piano Sonata, Opus 110,
Okay.
number 31. Yeah, and the last piece, which only apply if you have live audition, and that is Schumann's Piano Sonata number 2 in G minor. So there's 2 rounds of application. First, just video submission, and the final round is supposed to be live audition. But last year, actually this year, they changed the format to just again video submission. But instead, we need to do that in one take instead of separating those pieces. So it was like a 1 hour recital.
Okay.
Yeah,
So you were able to do both rounds on video, and you didn't have to go. Okay.
yeah.
So that's the difference. Do you know about how many pianists were accepted this year?
I don't know the exact number. Um, Maybe around five.
Around five. Yeah. I
Yeah,
think the
that's my
acceptance
best
rate
guess.
is around 4%. So it's very, very low.
Now it's like
Yeah.
2%,
Oh, is it really? Okay. Yeah.
2.4. Yeah.
Wow. So that's really incredible. Um, so besides the pieces, what else does Curtis consider? Do you have to write an essay? Do you
Yes.
have to do those kinds of things as well?
Write 4 short essay.
4 short
They ask
essays.
you like um your hobby outside of music and why you want to apply to Curtis and yeah, those things.
Uh-huh.
but it's very
Okay.
short.
Good. So they hope you are somewhat well-rounded with other interests as well.
Mm.
Hopefully. Yeah. Great. So are any of your performances available online for people to hear?
Yes, it's all on my YouTube channel.
Okay,
It's
including your
called,
the pieces you prepared for Curtis?
yes,
Okay, cool. So maybe we can get a link later on and I can put that in the notes
of
and
course.
people can see those. So, when will you be going to Curtis?
This fall.
This fall in September. Awesome. So, um, it's really wonderful to talk to you, and I'm really excited to see how your musical career progresses. And I hope we keep in touch often.
Thank you.
Great.